we up? It seems like people are here. Seems like we're up and running. No printing today. It's back to peaceful, quiet carving work. Happy birthday, David says. So you guys are on to that, are you? I probably mentioned it maybe. Thank you. 66. And no longer counting. Kind of ignoring everybody here. I'm sorry. Just gonna get some quiet work done now. I should maybe, do I have a copy here? Let me pop up a copy of this image so people can see it. Hang on a sec, see if I can find one. There's going to be lots of people who don't know what this is. Let me see if I can quickly get this into the window here. Capture an image. Just a moment, please. Add existing, new series 1. Let's see if I can get it here. Here we go. It's a bit too big here, I think. Just a minute. This is what's happening. This is the Jed's first on a sketch. It's the first design in next year's print series. And the series is not going to be, excuse me, it's not going to be based on specific games. You know, this is Final Fantasy or this is X whatever. They're going to be generic gags, if you will, tropes. And we're going to go for it. It's a bit light. What's the word? A lightweight as opposed to some of the things we've done in recent years. But it's okay. We want a very lightweight, inexpensive, fun series. And from my point of view as the craftsman here, the main point is going to be not so much the jokes. They're worth a smile. That's okay. But the prints are going to really be beautiful. There's lots of white space on them. We're going to carve them really nicely and finely. They're going to be beautiful objects. And from my selfish point of view here, they're going to introduce a whole bunch of new people to just how beautiful prints are. You know. They'll sit on your desk or whatever. You'll show your friends, your co-workers. The kind of curious aspect to this, which I'll never know the answer to this question myself. You know, this is something we talk about in the shop here all the time. People look in our flea market section of our shop and see the old prints, something made in 1820 or 1840 or something like that. And they'll say, what is this? And we mention it's a print of a kabuki actor acting on stage in some play. Some play, this is in 1840. And then they start to ask us more questions. You know, who is this guy? What was the play about? And stuff like that. Now, there are specialists out there who study kabuki and who know that in the 3rd month of the 7th year of the certain era, this particular play was on the boards and it was about such and such a thing. But most of us who are not specialists don't know that. So we look at the print now as a sort of a generic object. It's an actor print of, you know, from old Japan. We don't know the details of the story. But the prints were made so beautifully and so interestingly that it doesn't matter. It almost doesn't matter that you can divorce them from the story and they're still beautiful. And a bunch of our Ukiyo Heroes prints to me are like that. The Star Fox one, for example. It's just an interesting kabuki print. You know, something's going on. We don't know what. It doesn't matter. Just enjoy the beauty of the print. You know. People who do know the backstory, that Fox Moon print represents a certain character in a video game, get extra pleasure out of it. So to me, this series this year, it's lightweight. The jokes are ha-ha or not so funny or funny, depending on your own personal taste. But the objects are going to be small, beautiful, treasurable objects, and they're going to be very cheap. And hopefully we'll find a bunch of people who would like to collect them. So that's my, viewpoint on it. Somebody asked me, Dave, you're going to spend a year of your life working on just some not so funny jokes, Well, yeah, I am, It won't be just me spending a year of my life on this, of course, This block is not as hard as it should be, We're having trouble finding good wood. We've heard about this before, but for a key block, this should be a lot harder. unlike the last couple of streams, where I was printing, and when I'm printing I can sort of semi-see the chat, looking up every few seconds or so to see it, On a carving day I can't do that, so it's not going to be so easy to follow what you're talking about, I'm sorry. The routine, there is a question box there. Whoa, look at this, look at this. Comments. Oh. Has a subscription for the series been posted yet? No, it'll be a week or so, I'm sorry. Are you talking about the bot? Okay, whatever. So, a loose style. We're doing a very, very loose style with this year's set. There's the brush strokes themselves are very loose. I'm not cleaning up any of the strokes that Jed's done. I don't know how much to explain. We'll try and find an example here. Here we go. Okay, here. There's two brush strokes here. The guy's left leg and his right leg. I don't know if you can see it. Is it small enough? I think it's okay. Maybe you can see it. There's a place here where his one brush stroke crosses over the other one. Now, in a place like one of the previous prints, there's a how real is it supposed to be? If it was real, there's no way, the left leg is in front of the right leg, you wouldn't be able to see that line. You'd see one line, then the other leg would disappear behind it. There's no way we should be able to see both of those things if reality was the number one priority. But this is not happening this one. We're going to leave the brush strokes as they are because the raw brush strokes are the priority. We see it again here. This brush stroke bumps down in here and then another one comes off. You wouldn't be able to see both if this was a depiction of a three-dimensional object. But with this one, we don't care. What you're going to get is simply Jed's raw brush strokes, just as though it was like a hand-drawn thing. There's small examples all over the place. Hair. He's got, like the guy has got hair on his arms. One of the hairs here bumps out past his arm. You don't have hair floating in the middle there. Doesn't matter. This time we're going to do it. Here's another one. This hammer. The brush stroke comes past the corner. It's not real. We don't care. Same thing here is bandana. See it? Pops out. So the whole style is different. It's a much more natural. Things like this. We never had things like this in our Ukiyo-e Heroes series. The guy's supposed to be angry, so he's, what the hell's going on? There's the comic thing up above his head. So the mood is different. The style is freer. It's much looser. And the colors too, rather than fitting exactly in the lines, they're going to go splash. I'm really looking forward to doing this. I'm not going to carve them all this year. Of course, I'm going to do the first one so we can put some video of it up on the website, and the rest are going to be carved by our team. Kawasaki-san, and Kawasaki-san's probably going to do most of these. The girl who did our subscription series last year, the yokai. Very, very looser approach. We should, I guess, when I do the video for this, I should talk about those things. It's not a fast and quick and dirty rough. It's kind of a calculated rough from this point of view, the carving point of view. From the drawing point of view, it must have been fast. Bang, 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 splash, splash, splash. Oh, a question. Just let me just finish this piece. Boop, 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 boop. What's this? What's this? I can't follow much of this at all. I'm sorry. getting all this conversation. Walked past the shop late last night. Quietest I've ever seen a success. Were you here last night? Because there was construction from about, from the time we closed the shop last night till about 2 in the morning. They were jackhammering and replacing the water system for the new shop they're building 2 doors down. It wasn't quiet for me last night, unless you're here about maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. Then it would have been quiet, I think. Okay, there was a question. Let me try and find it. Tony, where are we? 3 questions. Okay, no problem. Tony, leftover from yesterday. What weight washi would you use for an A4 size print? I have some 43 grams per square meter Koso. I have to say, I don't have any idea what that number means. I don't know my paper in terms of, numerical values. So I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. You want Goldilocks paper, not too thin and not too fat. I'm sorry not to be helpful with you. You've given me a number here. The paper we use for our printing, what can I say? It's generally a thicker weight than normal copy paper and stuff like that. Have you got a woodblock print somewhere? Touch it, feel it. I'm not sure what else I can say. Oh, William Francis. Francis Hanga must be on the stream this morning. Yeah. It's a technical question here, nay. Moisture in the paper as we go through the printing process. Oh yeah, he is here, Francis Hanga. Hey. You've got a conversation going. Okay. The moisture. Where do I start? Whatever. The paper, when we're printing, it does have to be soft and moist. Normal paper is just too hard. If you try to rub it on the blocks, it doesn't pick up the pigment. That's one problem for it. Second problem for it, if we tried to use dry paper, because this is water-based pigment, as soon as you print the first block, whatever it is, it picks up moisture in that area only, starts to swell and expand, and obviously the paper starts to distort horribly. So to avoid that distortion, we moisten the paper first. How moist? Again, the same thing I just mentioned. It's the Goldilocks level. It just has to be sort of just right. Too wet, too much water in the paper, and the pigment has no room to go inside because the middle of the paper is all full of water. Too dry, and you don't get any pickup because the paper is physically too hard. The key point that I try to talk to our girls about is when you're moistening it, you're actually putting water on the paper so it feels wet. But when you pick the paper up to start printing, after the moisture has had time to seep through, when you pick the paper up to start printing, it shouldn't feel wet. Your first word shouldn't be, oh, this is wet. Your first reaction should be, this is soft. So the paper gets soft. It's hard to describe in words, just it's soft. The problem then comes, we might be making a print that takes not just 1 day, but 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, weeks. You might print an impression that's only got a tiny bit of moisture in the pigment. You might print an impression like I did yesterday with the owls that covers the whole paper with wet pigment. So the moisture level in the paper is trying to change all the time. When I printed that owl background yesterday, the room was really dry, so the paper tended to dry out when I was playing with it, but the block was really moist, so the paper picked up moisture. You have to play with these 2 variables, and if the paper is getting too dry, you get the brush out and moisten the newsprint more so that the paper maintains its moisture. If the paper is getting too wet from the printing work that you're doing, you have to get some extra sheets of dry paper and put them inside, in between the printing paper, a few sheets at a time, just for a few seconds, to pull out the extra moisture. You got to fly it by sheet by sheet, hour by hour, day by day. The goal is to keep the moisture level exactly at that just right Goldilocks level. And it's years of experience before you really get good at it. It was my single biggest problem all through the first years. compounded by the fact that I didn't know what a good moisture level felt like, or looked like, or meant. So I was stumbling towards a goal that I couldn't see, and I was blind because I didn't know what I was doing, how to get there. And that's the real tough problem for people trying to work for the first time. Anybody, William here's talking about working on this. I can say things and you can listen, but just hands-on experience next to somebody, is so valuable. Other than that, all you got to do is just keep stumbling, The other thing is management of the paper moisture over a period of days, most printmaking doesn't get finished in one day. And this is compounded by the seasonal changes. In winter here in Japan, it's very, very dry, so the paper tends to dry out overnight, even inside a plastic bag. In summer, it's really moist, the paper starts to get moldy. And we're talking about sometimes over a period of a couple of weeks to make a single print. So here in this shop, we don't want to use, what do they call it? I forget. Many shops use, what's the word? Things that kill bugs. Preservatives or the printers here, most of the printers in the traditional workshops here now are using formaldehyde. They dump that into their moistening water, and their workroom sometimes smells like a hospital in the summertime. But I think that stuff's dangerous. I don't want to use that. Especially not here with young girls working here. One of them's pregnant. Any of the girls could be pregnant at any time. I don't want to use crap like that in this room. If it kills bugs, it can't be good for people either, So our system is simple. We keep the moisture level as light as we can, and every evening when they pack up their paper, it goes in the freezer. Not the fridge, the freezer. We physically freeze the paper into a solid brick every night when people leave the workshop. It's wrapped up tightly so it doesn't dry out in the freezer. And the first guy here in the morning, after my alarm clock goes off, get up to the freezer, look at the sign on the outside of it that says who's coming today. I take the packages out of the freezer. And depending on how long it takes to defrost depends on what's in there. I know if they've got 100 prints going or something like this, it's going to take a couple of hours. So I've got to do this before they show up, or they check with me when did the paper come out and what time will it be ready, The one I took out this morning up there, 6 o'clock or so, was Ishikawa-san. She's coming today. She's doing test printing on the next yokai. So she's only got a half a dozen sheets in there. So that'll defrost in a few minutes. And so far, since I've been using this system, since back in the middle 90s, we've had we've had no problem with mold. The freezer doesn't kill incipient mold, it stops it from growing. So you can't just do this, infinitely, because mold will still grow. It's also a problem for people who are married, because their wife, of course, doesn't want paper in the freezer. I'm a single guy, so it's no problem for me. We have a freezer, obviously, at the workshop here, a dedicated freezer for this. But people trying it at home, don't blame me for divorce. Figure it out by yourself. So, William, I don't know if you're going to be trying this, it's a question of experimentation. Oh, another question. Here we go. Just sort of roll up one question, another one comes in. Fair enough. Look at this chat. It's just roaring away today. I have whatever. I don't even know if I'll have time at lunch to read it. Whatever. Thank you. I'm surprised mold isn't more of an issue than insects. Insects. I have no.
Honey, did you put paper in the freezer again? Says she, holding a frying pan over her head. Yeah. Hot water to moisten. Never, 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 never. Where did somebody see this? It says, speaking of paper moisture, I noticed that you used hot water to moisten. We would never, ever, ever do that. That's going to encourage the mold. For us, the best printing season is winter. It's deadly dangerous for us in the summer when things get too warm. The mold just grows like crazy if we let it get away from us. Winter is our season. There's no danger of mold or reduced danger of mold. The paper is harder because of the temperature. My workshop when I worked alone was unheated. Totally, absolutely unheated. These days the girls, they're weak and they want a heater, so whatever, go for it. In the old ways, traditional workshops are completely unheated. You got your own furnace built in when you're a printer. Go, 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 chum, 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 chum. Extra heat is just going to bring more mold. So I don't know where the idea came that I use hot water for moistening. I'm sorry. I can't imagine I would ever have said such a thing. So I don't know where you've seen that. The only time they're going to use hot water here is on one of those occasions where they show up to work. Sugusan, this happened a couple of weeks ago. Sugusan came through. We said hello here. She goes upstairs. She comes back down a minute later. Dave, you forgot to take my paper out of the freezer. And I'm like, oops. So here she is. It's 10 o'clock or something. There's this brick on her table. And it would take a couple of hours to defrost. She's going to lose the whole morning's work. So for that, we get a quick tub of water, put hot water in it, dump the thing in and try and coax it back to life, as quickly as we can. That's the only time I could ever imagine we use hot water here for the paper. Ishikawa-san's coming today, and she has, I've forgotten her paper a couple of times. So she now sends me an email. We've got the tag upstairs on the fridge door. When they put their paper in the freezer, they put a tag on the door showing what day they want it taken out, because they're not all here every day. But they've learned not quite to trust me, so Ishikawa-san sent me an email this morning. Nothing sarcastic, although in an email it's hard to tell. Please make sure my paper is taken out this morning. It's an email, so you can read whatever tone of voice you want into it. Please make sure you take my paper out. Please make sure you take my paper out of the freezer this morning. Which, by the way, I have done. So. We had a fun little order and stuff yesterday. I'm not sure if I can, I guess so. If I don't use people's names, I guess it's okay. Order came in, I guess, a couple of days ago for one of our prints. A great wave. Somebody's been watching the videos and enjoying it. Actually, it was
this lady's boyfriend had been watching the videos and enjoying them, and I guess he'd mentioned that would be cool, and she had the idea that, you know, might be a nice Christmas present or something, whatever. So she ordered the Great Wave. We sent it off to her. She writes back a thank you note, and in the middle of her thank you note, she mentioned that, you know, she's a quote creative unquote too. Not sure if I am, but whatever. We get the point. We're making art stuff here, so whatever. And she sent a link to her website. And just actually, it was part of her signature, just her website, part of her signature. The young lady's a pianist. I'm not sure if that's a word anymore. A keyboard player, keyboardist. I don't know what they say. So whatever. I'm looking at my lunch, eating my lunch yesterday, answering this mail and doing this stuff, and I follow it through. And on her website, there's a bunch of videos linked, and it turns out this lady is one of the keyboard players, or whatever, who works with people like Miley Cyrus and stuff like this. So she sends on her websites all these links to the appearances on the Jimmy Fallon show and this show and that show and whatever. So I thought that was really cool. This young lady who is, you know, whatever, probably in her own world, is probably quite famous or something. So and our woodbuck prints are going into their house, and it's a nice feeling. We don't see where our prints go most of the time, and I have just this sort of generic, typical people, whatever, are enjoying our prints, which of course is the real situation. And every now and then, something like this, somebody's a little bit different, you know. And watching this video with the music, totally beyond my comprehension. I have no idea what the singing is about or what the words mean or anything else. You know, it's modern pop, which, without wanting to be sarcastic, is not so much interesting for me. I'm sorry. That's okay. I'm 66. I'm allowed to say that. I think it's all right. I'm not dissing it, just from myself. I don't find it so interesting, you know. The same as my music wasn't of interest to my parents, you know, of course. But seeing our woodblock prints in that environment a little bit is fun, interesting. You know. Somebody asked me months and months ago, somewhere in the shop, you know, have any, you know, famous people, whatever, ordered your prints and stuff like this, you know. I had no idea. You know, most of the names in the order box are just, you know, whatever, you know, generic names. We don't know. You know why I haven't received an order from Bill Gates or stuff like this. You know, of course, we wouldn't know because they probably don't buy stuff under their own name when they're shopping on the internet. I don't know. We did try the other way around, you know, years ago. Oh, I don't even know how many years ago. 10 or something. I don't know. You could probably know that I wrote to Steve Jobs at Apple with an offer of a proposal. And, you know, wrote to his office, whatever, you know. We sent a physical package actually to his office with some prints and a proposal. I don't know if you guys know, I know back when Apple announced the first Macintosh, be 1984 or whatever. Is that the year it was? 19 something? I forget. And it was one of the big deals about the Macintosh was the graphics thing. So Steve, he himself owned some Japanese prints, or anyway, he owned at least one. The very famous Hashiguchi Goyo print of the lady combing her hair. I don't know the name of it generic. Somebody will be able to find it and search for it. It's a beautiful, beautiful print by Hashiguchi Goyo of a woman combing her hair. And Steve apparently owns one of the original versions from the Taisho period. Quite expensive nowadays. He obviously had the resources to afford it. And he used that image it must have been black and white in that first Macintosh. And the image came from his own collection. So I think it was one of the anniversaries. Would it have been 2004, I guess? What was the deal? I can't remember the numbers. When was the Mac? 1984. So you go 1994, 04. So maybe it was the 20th, when it was coming up to the 20th anniversary or something. I wrote to him at Apple suggesting that what we would do together is I would make a reproduction of that print. It's post-copyright. It's something he could use as gifts for people. You know, he was probably going to have a 20th anniversary party, have people come, you know, and he could give them this print, woodblock print, you know. So I proposed a sort of private edition. I would cut and carve and print the thing, and it wouldn't be an article of commerce. He would order them from me, or sponsor the project, and he would get the prints to have as gifts for people. So this would have been, I must have written maybe a year before the anniversary, so back in 2003, I guess. I'm not sure about these dates, but I had really high expectations of it because I was really looking forward to doing that print. Extremely, extremely difficult job. I couldn't propose it now because we wouldn't be able to get paper or blocks for it. But back then, I thought I could still get away with those things. So. And you know the rest of the story. Never heard an answer. Neither an acknowledgement from his office or anything. Just dead silence. So. But that would have been fun. But it's not something I can propose now. So. Did I hear the question sound? I did. If I ramble too much, I'll forget. Oh, look at this conversation. I'm sorry, guys. I know. Where are we? Question. You make it up there. Hot water question. Steam coming off the brush. Oh, okay. Yes. And I'm not quite sure what you're linking to. This is one of the videos, the Chibi Heroes production video I did in my kitchen in Omi in the middle of winter. I'm sizing the paper. It's hot size. That's 50, 60 degrees centigrade liquid. That's a different story. That must be hot. It's melted glue that is seeping into the paper. That's totally different from the moisturing that we do for printing. Okay, I get your confusion now. So, totally different. The glue has to be melted, so there's no way around that. Let's see, that picture about that sizing and that hot steam, that's exactly what I was doing last night upstairs before going to bed. We sized a bunch of paper. Aoyama-san did a bunch with our new machine, quote unquote machine. And I did a bunch with the brush. I got to keep in shape, you know. If we do it all with the machine, I'll totally lose my ability to do it with the brush. So I did, 70 sheets or so last night. They're hanging up now. That's one of the best parts of the day, you know. Everybody else leaves 5:36, 6:30, whatever time they're going. And I get a quick little light dinner and then get back here, and it's totally peaceful. I leave the telephones alone. There's nothing. Don't even open the computer. A couple of hours of work. I'm not complaining about this, you know. It's here doing it okay with you guys, but it really is nice sometimes to just have nobody else around, you know. Hang up all the wet paper and then stumble into bed. It's great. Okay, where do we start? This next part, go around this thing. Pick a place to start. Chat's just streaming by, no idea. It's like sitting next to a racetrack and watch stuff just zipping by, zipping by. Found something? I don't, I'm not sure what you've been searching for, but whatever. No idea, no idea, no idea. Am I going to carve the words? No, we're going to laser the words. I know. I had a block. Where is it? Here it is. The block I was using is, I can't call it a block. This was for a different, I don't know, can you catch it? Here we are. This is not for this print we're doing here, but this is an example of what's going to be happening. We've lasered some lettering. Is it in focus? Here. This was for the embossing on the rickshaw cart print I did yesterday. We've lasered some words. And what we'll be doing at the bottom of this print is when we print the key block for the print, we will then below it print using the laser, not in embossing. We're going to print it with gray type, I guess, gray pigment. Whether that counts as cheating or not, I don't know. If you look at the old prints in the old days, of course, there were no lasers. It was all totally done by hand. And somebody mentioned it to me yesterday, actually, Dave, you know, we're talking about this in the shop, and I'm going to laser that. And they said, you know, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, it's just lettering, who cares? And they said, no, once you've done that once, it will be out there. Oh, Dave, his workshop, I know, I've seen it. They do all their stuff with lasers, you know, they don't carve their prints. And I'm like, do you really think anybody's going to be that stupid? And he said, you'll be surprised. You know, all it has to do is leaks on the internet in one place. Dave doesn't carve it. It's all lasers. So I guess whatever. Should I be worried about that or not? I think there's enough video out there on the net of me doing things like this to show that we really do carve our prints. And I suppose when I do the intro video for this series, we should just show that process, you know. Here, this is carved, this is carved, this is lasered, you know. Just so that there is no misunderstanding, I don't know. How much do I have to worry about misunderstandings? You know, a few minutes ago in this chat, somebody thought we moistened our paper with hot water. There's been a little misunderstanding there. We corrected that one here just now, but you know, away they go when I'm not here to correct things, or you know, whatever. I can't worry about it. Just we do our job. We put it out there, show as much as possible, and can't get too worried about it. Somebody is wrong on the internet. Hey? How are we doing for time? We're okay, right? Coming up to 9 o'clock or something? There's no Cameron bothering me. There's no Cameron coming today. It's a weekend, and his gig is a Monday to Friday gig. So. This is Saturday. I think it's Kawai-san is in the shop today. Kawai-san and Matsumura-san. They should be showing up around 9:25 or so. Don't have too many reservations. They're starting to slip back a little now. I think our autumn rush has peaked, I think. Not quite sure about that, but it may have peaked. Which none of us are unhappy about. It's been too much the last since the end of September or so. All of us are waiting here for a time to have some quiet times in the shop and some maintenance. We're way overdue on a ton of maintenance stuff, restocking some prints and getting the place itself physically cleaned up and just getting some not downtime, but it's just been kind of too much. We're still talking about lasers? The laser, we're going to use the laser for doing the lettering underneath this print. That's all. Laser's caption. That's all. Everything else is going to stay the same. Talking about lasers and metal blocks and stuff like that. The last YouTube video I did a couple of weeks ago talking about those two different designs of the Kagurazaka in Japan. In the middle of that video, I showed a clip of some metal key block being used for woodblock printmaking. This is from 1938. The Yoshida family, Yoshida Hiroshi, was using metal blocks for making their woodblock prints. Some woodblock prints we got in the shop. 1938. This is not something new that I'm coming up, whatever. That little corner on the hilt, what are we talking about? The part that Okay, whatever. All right, I'll just keep up. I don't know what's sarcasm and what's real here. So back to it. Looks like a moonscape at this point. Funny, with all the rough things in the bottom are so visible and magnified. Once you get a block printed, it looks much more attractive. Speaking of that video 2 weeks ago, I've got to get YouTube kicking. It's been insane here. If I don't get a couple more good, interesting videos up pretty soon, YouTube's going to abandon me again. They've done so well for us the past half a year. YouTube has been recommending our videos all over the net to all kinds of people. It's been helping tremendously. But if I don't feed that beast soon, not sure what video to do next. There's got to be one coming up about making this series, obviously, the new subscription series. I've got to do a video about that, introducing it. But other than that, there's another David's Choice video I could do, or I'm not sure what work to show upstairs. They're just doing yokai right now, and we can't repeat the same thing there. So. There's a whole list. I've got a file in my notes here, potential video ideas. And there's tons more for those stories, the rambling type stories, because so many guys I met, interesting stories, but I don't want to try and do the same story, Met this guy, he helped me, I learned some things, his family gave me something after he died. I could tell that story like 3 or 4 or 5 times, because that's the same experience, Well, we've already done that twice. I got the carving bench from Harada-san's family. I got those tools from Ito-san. We could talk about the planing bench from Shimano-san. That was a good one, I've got this huge slab of keaki wood in the basement of my Ome workroom, It'll never be used for anything. It's the bench on which Shimano-san, who was the final block maker in Japan ever, after 300 years of history, he was the last craftsman to make wood blocks for carvers. Nowadays we get them from Matsumura-san, his business is making houses, making timber for houses. He stepped in to provide some cherry after Shimano-san died. But Shimano-san, the company he and his father they called Itakane, were the last surviving people whose business was providing wood blocks for the ukiyo-e carvers, after 300 freaking years of tradition, I was his customer for 1979, I guess, till when he died in 1990, January of 1999, I think he died, So I was his customer for 20 years. Light friends, not bosom buddy friends, but light friends, And after he died, his wife gave me his carving bench. Is it a carving bench or his bench? So that's in my basement in Ome. 300 years of history wrapped up in one piece of wood. And if you didn't know what it was, you wouldn't even know. Just if somebody's just going to throw it out one day if there isn't a story attached to it properly. So I guess maybe that should be the next YouTube video. I don't know. If I could tell it without crying, I don't know. He was a nice guy, really a nice guy. He's dying of stomach cancer and didn't tell anybody. His wife knew, but didn't tell any of the rest of us. I'm bugging him, when's that last block? I need the blocks. I ordered it months ago. Shimano-san, please, I've been your customer for like 20 years. Please, let me have these blocks. My customers are waiting, And the guy's dying of stomach cancer. But because we didn't know, we're all bugging him for getting the work done,
So everyone who helps Dave will die. No, it's simply the people I meet with here are 99 years older than me, that's all. Yeah, it's a pact, right? You help meet me and help me, and a few things are going to happen. One is you're going to die, but in return for dying, I'll promise to tell your story on YouTube. But in return for that, your wife is going to have to give me a tool or something. It's like it's almost a story here in itself, What am I saying? It's not finished. It's still happening. There's more coming, There's the blocks I've got downstairs in Ome. They were given to me. The blocks for... We've Googled this before. Maybe I've told this before. If you Google Okada Yoshio, the prince called Genji Monogatari, I've got the blocks for those downstairs. And it's the same story, just goes around and around and around, I heard a question, so I should look at it before I forget. 10 seconds and it's gone. The Green Reaper with benefits. Question: stream saved. Both are true. He's asked me, do I save the streams here or are they stored for a while on Twitch and then disappear? Both are true. Twitch keeps them for, what is it, 2 weeks? I forget the exact thing. 20 days, 21 days, 14 days? I don't know. They're on Twitch. Excuse me. Before Twitch removes them, I do store them myself. They're thrown up in an Amazon S3 bucket. But they're not stored with the chat. So each day I clip and copy from the chat. So I save the chats in a text file, and I've got the video source as it's downloaded from Twitch. What to do with them, who knows? As you've seen, I clip a couple of quote unquote highlights. But I don't know, there's just been no time. But if you're curious, they are, for what it's worth, they are preserved. Although, for me it's whatever. When we started doing this Twitch thing a couple months back, I got a few emails from people essentially saying the same thing. Dave, oh my God, it's going to be deleted from Twitch. You've got to save this stuff. You've got to preserve this stuff. Please don't ignore your duty to posterity. I don't want to exaggerate. I mean, this kind of an email. People who'd seen this, thinking it's something really important. My God, this has got to be preserved. And I reply to them that, thank you very much for your concern, and it's really nice to know that you're finding this important, and thank you, But this is what I've been doing every day for the past 40 years. It's not like today's stream is something that is important in the history of this planet. I do this every day. This is what I've been doing for decades. What you saw this morning was not something wild and unusual and dramatic and that, oh my God, we've got to preserve this. I do this every day. So I don't know, there's two takes on that, We're preserving bits and pieces of this. I've put some up on YouTube, and again, without wanting to be sarcastic, I don't think every breathless minute of this, is something that needs to be preserved for posterity. So, although I get the idea that, this window of stuff, let's have a look at how this works and what's going on. Let's keep some of this, and we're doing so with YouTube. But anyway, short answer to the question is yes. At the moment, all these streams are preserved here on a hard drive, and all the chats are preserved here as text. And just how valuable this all is, it's not for me to decide, whatever.
I think also too, there are quite a few people who are preserving them on their own. I got an email a while back from a guy who had missed a few episodes and was asking if I had a copy that he could dub from. So I did. I sent him the ones that he was missing. So it seems there are people out there also who are on their own initiative, trying to keep some of this, preserve some of this. I have no problem with that at all. It's me in my face, but go for it. I don't care. It's not hurting me in any way whatsoever. So please, if they're interesting for you, keep them. I think if you wanted to make a YouTube channel with them, I think we should talk. But whatever. Another question. We're not doing badly today. Right, 2 questions. Wow, Tony. 2 questions. One about foxing on a print, not mold, foxing, eh? And another question about generic. The foxing. The foxing. I'm gonna have to admit defeat right away. I don't know. I have foxing on lots of the prints in my personal collection. The only way I have heard of to remove it is with something like bleaching, which in the case of a full color print will of course destroy the colors. So I'm not really able to offer you any answer. I'm sorry. There's tons of searching out on the net for people who have tried to find ways to do this and who basically haven't come up with anything as far as I've been able to see. I myself don't even really know what foxing is. Different people are claiming it's a different thing. It's biological, it's chemical. And so I'm sorry, I don't have anything at all to offer you. It's a huge problem for me personally. Prints in my own personal collection, old stuff from Meiji or Taisho. The old Edo prints don't seem to show it much. So I'm sorry to be unhelpful, but I really don't know. I'm sorry. The other question that's in there is more generic. For people who want to start doing the kind of thing that I do, what do you recommend? And my God, what can I say? I don't know. What's the goal? Somebody who is young and looking at what they want to do when they grow up, or somebody who is already in another job but is looking for something else to change. These are sort of 2 different concepts. From my way of thinking now, somebody my age looking at the world today, most of you guys are probably younger than me, looking at you guys today, it seems to me that there's so much more opportunity than there ever was to do things like this, or to do different kinds of job or different kinds of work. Society is much more allowing of failure these days. You can try something, and if it doesn't work, you're okay, you can try something else. So I'm not sure the specific question here. Somebody is looking for a career or looking to change their careers. But the answer really is pretty much the same. If you think something like this is interesting, I think it's relatively easy to give it a try without disrupting your entire life to do so. If you're a current worker in another field, you can try this as a hobby first to see if it floats your boat. If you're a younger person looking for something to do with their life or a career, or then try it. Just simply try it. This is not something you can analyze or think about intellectually or with words. It's a physical thing to do, this craft or another craft, and it either works for you or it doesn't. On a physical level, do I like doing this? Do I like making these products? Do I like this kind of life every day, sitting in my workshop making these things, whatever they are? Is one part of it. That's got to click for you. But the other part of the equation, it's got to click with society. We need to eat, we need to live, we got to pay rent or whatever it is. So there's two main things that have to both work together before you can make a career of something like this. You know. And none of those things can be worked out in advance. So if you think that something like this might be suitable for you, just working it around in the middle of the current life you've got, whether you're a student or a salaryman or whatever you are, try and find some time, put some time aside, make some time, and try this, or whatever it is, the specific craft you're thinking about, or that. And it would be foolish to sort of quit being a salaryman and jump into this and try and make a living right at the beginning. Of course, you know, you've got to nibble at these things first to see if you can do it, to see if you enjoy doing it, and then to see if you can make society pick it up for you, you know. The one thing I won't do is give a blanket thing that says follow your dream, because that one I really, really, really am scared of that one. I don't think it's true. That thing they say, follow your dream, and you know, it will happen, the rest will happen. Because I've seen lots and lots of examples where that's not how it works, you know. Everybody can dream. Ideas are cheap, ideas are easy. But making it happen in reality is a totally, absolutely different thing. The world may or may not cooperate. So I'm not going to give that one, follow your dream. Test it first, try it first, nibble it first. And build it slowly, step by step by step. I guess it's a reflection of my own personality. I guess I'm that kind of person they talk about as being a control freak or something. I want to get it all organized well, have it all working well. Calculated. I'm not an emotional guy. I'm not a super creative guy. I work things out. How is this working? How should it be done? How is this going to work for me? You know. I don't know if I got too far away from the question or not. I'm not sure. Let me get back. There's another question. Oh, what have we done? Here's Kawai-san. So the question is, what advice do young, inexperienced people who want to learn a highly specialized craft such as printmaking? So, well, that's the question again. And I think the answer I'm doing is it. You know, fit it in with whatever else you're doing. You're a student, or you're out of school, or you've got a job. Spend some free time hours, spend some evening hours, nibble away at this. You don't have to buy all the tools and buy the proper beret and everything. Give it a try, give it a taste, give it a nibble. And if it likes you and you like it, things can go from there. Oh, I know, this last question, you know, people ask is, what's your favorite music? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite stuff? I know, I don't I know you said it was lighthearted, and I get it. It's not so serious, but I don't know. I don't know. You know, are you a cat or are you a dog? These kinds of questions. Today's question is nibbling in that territory. You know, I don't know that stuff. You know, I'm sorry. You know, what I will eat tonight, I'll think about that at 7 o'clock. You know. Maybe I'm just a boring person. I don't know. My whole life has become revolved around these pieces of wood and these pieces of paper, and I can't even sort of think about anything else. You're seeing the same shirt you've seen for weeks. I know. I'm sorry if I'm not interesting that way personally. You know. This must be Kawai-san, I guess. Kawai-san desu ka? Good morning, Sashibari. You know what we're doing here? Come and say hello. so, when were you here last? I forget. Monday? You were working Monday. So it's been a quiet week, you know. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's been busy with activity, but it's been, you know, the register is quietening down. The number of print parties is quietening down. I think we can
the big rush, I think, is now over. So we'll see.
10 o'clock, 5 people.
Well, 5?
5
What? Is there something I didn't see?
11でしょ。
He's telling me we have a reservation for 5 at 10 o'clock, and I didn't know that. Have I missed something? Yeah, there might not be enough paper. You'd better check the paper first off, so I'm sorry. 5? I didn't see that. Oh, who is this and what's going on? Excuse me, stream. Excuse me. I've got to check on this little thing here. Oh, look at that. It is indeed. It is indeed. Right. It's 3 adults and 2 kids. So it's like a giant family pack.
Giant family pack.
Whatever, I don't know. We'll talk about the money later, but whatever. It's 3 adults and then a couple.
3 adults.
Yeah.
で、ハーフ。
Yeah. 11歳、9歳、7歳。だから7歳ですから、大人1人は子供と一緒ですから、まあ、大体4人みたいですね。そう。And it's a Kickstarter pledge. They've paid through Kickstarter, so they don't need to pay at the register.
新しいやつ。
そう。They last month. No, they've paid through the Kickstarter, so nothing. So just make sure there's enough paper.
Okay. I'll check.
Sorry for the interruption, gang. Excuse me. Sorry. Stream a print party. People ask about this, it's extremely difficult. I know there's the question of privacy. I guess we could ask people and maybe they'll say okay. But other than that, it's so difficult. We've tried. I haven't tried to stream it, but we've tried to video it because we want to do a nice video of what a print party is. And we have failed. It's a room, it's a tight room. We're all face to face. We're doing this. I'll say something. People say something back and the camera can't run around and catch. The camera can't get in and see the bench. We have really tried to make a video just to show people what our print parties are like and have failed. And we've had other people now and then, Japanese TV shows, whatever, they're trying to show what we're doing, whatever. So they come in, they send their talent people in to do a print party. And they bring in a professional camera crew, lights, action, camera, roll them, microphones, everything. And I have yet to see one that has caught any kind of a sense of the essence of what a print party is like. So I get what you'd like to see, and I myself would love to see it. And there's only one way I can think of is how we could do it. We do a party here with just 3 people and me, whatever, with 3 people. Then there's a guy with a camera here, some small camera. And we have the print party ignoring the camera guy, and he catches what we can catch. But then maybe there's some interaction between me and one of the guests. Somebody tells a joke or whatever, fooling around, or this or that happens, which the camera didn't catch. But then we say, "Wait, stop, freeze the action. Okay, let's tell that joke again." And this time with the camera trying to catch it. Sort of do it semi-live and semi-scripted, if you get what I'm getting at. Do it live and then quickly do an instant replay of the parts that were fun but that the camera didn't catch or something. I don't know if we could actually do that. I don't know. Or just a couple of cameramen who were going to be guerrilla cameramen who were really good at what they were doing. It's such a tight, small room, and the action happens so fast. Well, I mean, the fun action happens so fast, The other day, there's a woman, I'm standing behind her, making sure she gets the paper locked into the corner. And I'm standing at her right-hand side behind her. I'm near the wall. And there's 6 other people here. We're chatting. I'm looking at her paper setting, talking to chat, looking at her paper setting. She gets the paper in the corner, so I think, good, okay, I can let go. I let go of the corner. I move back to talk to somebody else. I turn my head back to see what she's doing. And instead of grabbing the Barron tool, she's grabbed the brush. And she's about to put the brush on the back of the paper. Total disaster. And we're within milliseconds. Her hand is moving towards the paper with the brush. What do? I just hit her. I hit her arm and bang, the brush flies up onto the wall and she looks at me, what's going on? And a second later, we're all laughing about it. But I mean, how do you catch that? We can't script it and act it because we're all wooden actors. It wouldn't work. But there's no way you can catch that with a camera crew in the room, you know. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just asking for too much. I want to catch the best of a print party, showing the fun and the laughing around and the fooling around, and yet showing, you know, actually what we're doing, printing nice woodblock prints, you know. So I'm just probably expecting too much. The TV shows just show a boring thing. There's David, he rubs red. There's the paper. Here's David, he rubs blue. Now there's 2 colors. Here's the guest, he rubs yellow. Oh, now there are 3 colors. It's just so freaking boring. And that's not what our print parties are like. Whatever, long rambling answer, I'm sorry. But as we know, it's now 9:30. It seems like I've got to get all hands on deck for the party this morning. So I think it's time to shut this down. I'm sorry. Obviously the chat, I haven't seen a tenth of what's gone on in the chat. I'll try and catch it later tonight. Here's our picture. Where are we? Can I get this to focus? Come on, camera, do your job. Here you go. Here's the part that's carved so far. Here's the characters. Very vivid brush strokes from Jet. We'll try and catch them. And for those of you who are watching yesterday's stream, up here, you know, there's a part where I accidentally didn't glue this strong enough and rubbed away the paper. We just paste a new piece on top when I get there. There we are. That's it. Thank you very much. Today's Saturday morning. I'll be back here Sunday morning, Tokyo time, continuing on this very blog. Catch you then. Thanks again. Thanks for watching. How dare you leave us? I hope this is sarcastic. Okay. Thanks again, guys. See you tomorrow. All right, step 1, camera off. Step 2, unclip microphone. Hang up the microphone. And then goodbye. Thanks again. See you tomorrow.